Have you ever woken up on Monday morning and asked yourself, why am I not retired already? Well, of course you have, but at some point you have to start taking that question seriously. But how do you know when the time is right? Of course, working another year will add to your financial security, but none of us are getting any younger. Eventually, you'll have to make the leap. And if you can answer yes to these 6 questions, then it's time. Number 1, have you been deferring your life? There are 7 days on the calendar, and someday isn't one of them. My special lady always says that a bucket list is where dreams go to die. Now, that's a little harsh, but there's often some truth in that statement. We can all too easily fall into the trap of binary thinking when it comes to our lives. I'll work now, and then I'll enjoy the extracurricular activities in retirement. But the harsh truth is that none of us are guaranteed another day on this earth. If you've been dreaming about travel or just time to enjoy your hobbies, now's the time to take stock of your life. If you're someone who's figured out how to create a both and life, a life where you both work and cross off those bucket list items, well then keep it going. But unfortunately in today's world, that's a rarity. So if you've answered yes to this first question, it's time to move on to question number 2. Is your health suffering? I have a knot underneath this right shoulder blade, and it's been there so long, I've named it after one of my old bosses. Now, it's not too terrible these days, but its existence can be solely contributed to operating a computer mouse pretty much roughly weekly for 3 decades and counting. Ergonomics aside, there are a ton of health and wellness factors that creep up with having a long career. Sleep issues, high blood pressure, poor posture, anxiety, all of those things add up. I mean, at the very least, our world is set up to encourage us to eat poorly, skip exercise, and miss out on getting outside for some vitamin D. So if your health isn't somewhat close to where you want it to be, you may want to consider stepping away and finally putting your time and energy toward your health. Question number 3, is it impossible to work less? Now, I've heard of a few companies out there who will offer part-time work, let you reduce your hours, or offer a phased retirement option for their employees. Unfortunately, I don't think that there are a lot of those companies out there. For the rest of us, there are a couple of other options. First, you can plan to work part-time at your company or another as a stepping stone to retirement. You may or may not be able to find a job with benefits, however, but this option isn't as extreme as quitting early. The next option is to stay at your current job and just do less. Listen, I'm not suggesting that you should act in any unethical way. But if you're like me, you're likely going way above and beyond in your current position. Coming in early and staying late for the optics is great when you're building your career, but at some point, who gives a crap? Maybe just leave at 5 p.m. But if you can't make less work happen, then that brings a retire as soon as possible scenario into play. And that brings us to our next question. Do you wish you had more time for family and loved ones? I'm here to tell you that you can have anything, but you can't have everything. And since there are only 24 hours in a day, working necessarily takes some of those hours away from spending time with your family and friends. If you realize that you've been missing important events, feeling guilty about not seeing family enough, losing touch with friends, or feeling disconnected with the important people in your life, it's time to consider retiring ASAP. Again, none of us are guaranteed another day on this planet, and those personal connections are the thing that contributes the most meaning to our lives. If you're wishing that you could spend more time with the important people in your life, then it's time to move on to our next question. Do you know what you're going to do? I was on the cycling team in college back in the 90s. When we were out training, there would inevitably be a dog in someone's yard who would run out and chase us. But we always wondered, what would the dog do if it ever caught us? Well, my friend Mark found out. Mark was a really strong rider, so it really says something about how fast this dog was. After tumbling through the grass beside the road, Mark gathered himself and looked up, only to see that the dog had also taken a tumble during the melee and was as disoriented as he was. So what does this have to do with retirement? Many people get to retirement and face the question of the dog that catches the cyclist. Now what? If you don't know how you want to spend your days during retirement, then you may want to press pause for a while and figure this out. There's a reason that many retirees feel anxious, lonely, and sometimes depressed after retiring. But some people know exactly how they're going to spend their newly found free time. If this is you, we can move on to the final question. Question 6, can you retire? If you haven't put pencil to paper to find out if you have enough, then now's the time. If this is you, you have a couple of options. Number 1, you can hire a financial planner like me to help you. Now, I'm not for everyone, so I'll post a couple of links to help you find a fee-only fiduciary financial planner in the show notes below. Option 2, you can do this stuff yourself. There are plenty of resources online, including this YouTube channel, to help you navigate the ins and outs of making these calculations. But no matter which of these options you choose, don't put in your notice without running the numbers first. So if you've answered yes to these 6 questions, it's time. Put in your notice and enjoy your life. But not everyone is ready. If you're wondering what a middle-class American retirement looks like and how you compare, watch this video to find out. I'll see you there.